afternoon. How are we doing? Oh, I don't want to say it's too hot because in Britain, you should never, ever, ever, ever admit that it's too hot. It's a bit warm. It's a bit warm. And I can't find any of my baseball caps. So if you've got one, Nerded Emotion, I'm talking to you. Can I have it back? If you've had a hat of mine in a car, please can I have it? Right. I was going to go and work on the motorhome, and then I thought I'd just do a bit of a live chat instead. I am just going to hang out with you all for a bit. Is that all right? If you want to hang out with Geoff for the afternoon, and then when there, the real Stig is there. Hello, everyone. Bit of a general chat. Good afternoon. Mrs. G has taken the kids to the park, and I've got a free afternoon. I'm watching a guy being a guy. Yeah, basically that's it. I just got a free afternoon, so I just thought, well, I haven't done a live for ages. So I thought, let's have a little chat. Let's check in with people. Let's see how they are. Let's maybe take a look at some upcoming auctions. Let's maybe have a look on eBay. Let's, you know, sweat all the way through this t-shirt because it's that warm in here and I'm directly under the sun and I'm wearing a tweed cap. But as I said, if you missed the intro, can't find any of my baseball caps. Still don't really like being on camera bald. Got a bit burnt yesterday. What's this? Oh, someone's been making a recorder in the house. Don't think it really works. Banganomics, James Ruppert, right. James Ruppert is watching. James won't mind me telling you. I'm just cleaning up some pajamas on the floor. James Ruppert from Banganomics is like the legend in journalism. And James's YouTube channel, James has got a YouTube channel. So can you all, no, I don't mind if you leave the live feed. Can you go and subscribe to James, Banganomics? I'm going to help James a little bit with his YouTube. We're going to see if we can grow his channel, basically, because James is a great guy and he should have a, you know, he should have 30,000 YouTube subscribers because he's got years of experience in Banganomics. So James, you could be my, can you be my apprentice? It's not a paid role. Neither of us get paid. I just help you grow your YouTube channel because I believe in you, which is funny because you're a lot older than me and everything, but I can be Luke Skywalker. Is that the right way around? I've never really watched Star Wars. But everybody go and watch, the check is in the post. Everybody go and subscribe to Banganomics. And you'll see the changes that we're going to make to James's channel to, you know, see if we can. I said that what you ought to do is just do basically like a podcast where he sets up a little studio, a bit like this, and just chats. I think that's what James should do. I think James, this is just a consulting session just for you now. Everybody else, just talk amongst yourselves. You should just do this and you should be like, right, today we're going to have a little look at cars that you can buy up to 3,000 quid and just talk people through what their options are. Because not everybody wants to drive around in an old Volvo. I realise that. But I wanted to talk about this a little bit today, actually. I was going to do this as a video, but it can be a live feed anyway. I had a chat with my mate Justin earlier on, who also does Volvo stuff. And he at the moment has got on eBay. In fact, let's find it. Go on eBay. This is going to be a homework session as well. So open a new tab. You're probably watching on your phone, aren't you? Open a new tab and type in Volvo V70 TDI. Right. Why is mine always defaults to ebay.com? Hang on. Let me go on ebay.co.uk. ebay.co.uk. It's because I was trying to buy micro machines from America. Right, Volvo V70 TDI, and in cars that should show us, yeah, there's only one on there, right? This is really interesting. So it's tropical green, or is it Nautic blue? Looks like Nautic blue to me, same colour as the one I've got. It's a 2.5 diesel, manual gearbox, owner car with full service history. So that'll be from about 1998. It's 200,000 miles and, oh my gosh, that looks immaculate. Are you looking at it? Is anybody looking at it? ebay.co.uk, just type in Volvo 70 TDI and it should be the only one that comes up. Have a scroll through the pictures. It's absolutely, his cars really well. It's absolutely immaculate. Apart from the door cards, but they always blow out, as I've said before on my channel. It's a really nice spec car. And he's got it up for £3,200. And it would be very easy to say, that's a lot of money for an old Volvo. But if you think what you're actually buying at £3,200, you could put 100,000 miles on that car and take it back to Justin in a year, in however much time, and it would still be worth roughly the same amount of money. That car will last forever with minimum maintenance. And I can tell you full well, because I drove mine last night out to collect some tyres for the caddy, and my 850 diesel manual got 54 miles to the gallon yesterday. So these are really economical. Another couple of things on this one as well. I have gone down an eBay rabbit hole of V70s now, but the TDI is the one you want, James. The old Volkswagen engine. So you could go, oh, that's £3,200. Now, Justin said a really interesting thing. He said that millennials, I don't know which one the millennials are, because I can never work out which one I am. But basically, Justin said the kind of people that are buying good quality Volvos at that sort of money are the generation that don't remember when those cars were 500 quid. So there's a whole swathe of people that would go, oh, that's a 1998 Volvo. You used to be able to buy those for 500 quid. And then they don't buy them. But what Justin said is he seems to think that there's a generation of younger people coming up through who don't remember these cars when they were 500 quid, but do appreciate what they're buying. So the last one that Justin sold like this was a 300,000 mile V70 TDI. It was a black one. And it was sold to a friend of mine who's in his like mid-20s. So, piece of the cardboard recorder there in my mouth. So there's this new generation of people that do appreciate, like they don't want to own a brand new watch, they want to own an old one. They want something that's quality and that's going to last. And that gives us hope in the Banganomics movement, which is where we sort of started this station. Anyway, so go check it out. I mean, it literally says on there, 82 people have viewed it in the last 24 hours. It's 3,200 quid. And as I said, it would be very easy to say, that's overpriced, that's a very expensive Volvo. To which I would say, because I've owned so many of these, I would say, go and find another one. Ben Walker, younger guy here, just bought a 1991 190e 2.6 Sportline for £5,000. Ben, you've absolutely nailed what I was just saying, because I must be a bit older than you then, because I look at a Mercedes 190, I remember when you could buy them for like 800 quid. So £5,000 seems to me like a whole lot of money. However, as you've realised, and the point with this Volvo at £1,000, what else are you going to buy? So if you go on Auto Trader and try and buy yourself a sensible family car for £3,200 or indeed for £5,000, it's actually really hard to find something going to be reliable. And James there says 190Es were £500 all day long in the early 2000s. And the reason that they were, James, is because they had a really high survival rate, which meant when they were 10, 15, 20 years old, there were so many of them around that they were incredibly cheap. Why were there so many of them around? Because they were so well built. The 190E, second only probably to the W140 S-Class, was probably the most overdeveloped car that Mercedes ever built. That 190E was aiming directly at the 3 Series mid-size segment, and Mercedes had to get it right. And in order to get it right, they had to build a proper car that would work in every scenario, and that's why the 190 was so good. And what I would say as well is that's probably why the 190 is slightly boring, because it just does everything so well. James, quite rightly so. The next C-Class, which was the W202 shape, was the same thing, but everything was done cheaper. And that's when we move into the era of Mercedes famously. I mean, what on earth did Mercedes make those cars out of in the late 90s and early 2000s? Your W201 E-Classes, your 202 C-Classes, they rust for fun. I bought an E55 AMG and it looked like it had lived in a salty swamp. They used pre-rusted tin foil, says Pugwash. I don't think you're wrong. They were shocking. And everybody else started doing it the same way. And that then was the decline. They'd done all of the development. You take the Volvo V70 as well. And I'm a bit of a Volvo nutter, as you well know. But on the V70, it's easy to say that the V70, the first V70, was just a facelifted 850. But Volvo made more than 2,000 changes between the 850 and the V70. And don't forget, the 850 was Volvo's first proper mainstream estate large front-wheel drive car. And again, that meant that Volvo had to do it right. They had to overdevelop the 850. So they overdeveloped 50, ran it for what, 5, 6, 7 years, and then made more than 2,000 changes to give us the early shape V70. So again, you're looking at that on eBay going £3,200. That's a lot of money. But look how we got to that. That car is the very last of the super refined V70. It was built on the platform of the 850. The 850 was the car that Volvo developed to try and retire the 240, 740 and 940 wheel drive platforms. Do you realise how much of a big task that is? That is some seriously huge boots to fill for the 850, because Volvo were trying to replace 30 years worth of development and 30 years worth of love for the brand, and they absolutely had it right. And then they improved it again with the V70. I've spent so much time in Volvo 850s and Volvo V70s, and I'm so happy driving them the other day. My 850 is a diesel. It's decatted. It's got normal air filter on it, but we had it dynoed, and we know that it's running slightly above the manufacturer's horsepower. We don't know the mileage on it because the clocks failed years ago. My car's been 300,000 miles. I've got Monroe shocks all round on it, and it's running on T5 springs with 45 profile tyres, which means it's an absolute handling beast. I want to put it on a track day for two reasons. One, it would be fun. Two, I think on a track, my car would still do 40 miles to the gallon. I'm pretty tempted to book a track day at Donington, take the Volvo, see how many miles we can cover on the day and see what my fuel economy will be. You know, I'll uprate the brakes and stuff beforehand. But it's such a joy of a car to drive. But then when I jump in my slightly new V70, it's a totally different thing. It's all refined, and it's, you know, everything on V70 over the 850 does feel slightly better, apart from on the earlier 850, you've got that big, solid, you know, traditional Volvo door pull. And on the V70, they switched it to one of these that we all know and love. So there you go. There's a really boring chat on Volvo 850 and V70s. Introducing James. Yeah, as I said, make sure you go and subscribe to James's YouTube channel, Banganomics. We need to get James over 1,000 subscribers, and then we need to get him to 30,000 subscribers, because I deserve that. I think that's what James deserves to be. Other things that are going on. So I've been out to Wickes this morning, and I've bought some bits to complete the motorhome. That is creeping closer, so that's pretty exciting. And the tyres, I collected some tyres yesterday for the caddy. How are they getting along with their attempts to ban repairing old cars? That's all gone a bit quiet, hasn't it? But we know that that's on cards and has been on the cards for some times. But that seems to be, you know, the thing. Pugwash says motorhomes are never complete. And I also appreciate that. You know, the first time we're going to go and use this motorhome, we're going to go, oh, we need X, Y, Z, or this, or that, or that. What I don't want to do is build it in a way that I go, yep, that's absolutely finished. And then we take it for its first run out and we go, oh, actually, hang on a minute. We've put that in the wrong place. We didn't need that there. We do actually need that instead of that. That's the wrong product. This one isn't quite right. So I kind of want to get it finished as a rough skeleton, even with no plumbing. I don't want any plumbing in there, as I've said all along. It's only Mrs. Geoff that's like, oh, we should have a sink. I've been adamant that we're not having a sink, but it's been some of you have, you know, noted it has been a collaborative project between Phil, myself, and Mrs. G. I've been the ideas. Phil's been the kind of like, how do we bring this to life? And then adding his sort of furniture design inspiration to it as well. And Mrs. G has basically given us lots of things that she wants in the van, and then we have to slowly tell her that actually she can't have parquet flooring and a granite surface and tongue and groove roof unless she wants the van to go nowhere. But it's been a great fun project, and it's been really enjoying. No plumbing. How will you work a B-day? Well, we don't intend to. Like, we don't have a problem having a wild wee. If you need the occasional wild poo, we'll work all that as we go. What I don't want to do is go, 25% of my van is dedicated to the poo that you need once in the morning. You're giving 25% of your van away for something that actually only takes up 2% of your day. When you can just have a portaloo and, like, you know, a porta tent on the outside. That's not an issue. So I've always said you don't need it. So that's the motorhome. Geoff, who is your favourite doctor? My favourite doctor is Tom Baker. Are you talking about Doctor Who? No, just no. Is that a Doctor Who thing? I couldn't be less interested in Doctor Who. If indeed you do. I don't even know what you're talking about. Are you talking about Doctor Who? My favourite doctor, I don't know. Dr. Paul Salad, no, he's pretty good. But no, don't watch Dalek. That's where it's at. No, not a clue. You Star Wars, Star Trek, and Doctor Who. You're like totally over my head. I'm only really interested in cars, occasionally motorbikes, and sometimes surfing. Skyris says, I entered the stream at a very odd time. Yeah, it's all sort of explained in the first 15 minutes. It's not just me soliloquizing about Volvos, which it usually is. I have got some other news. Let me just check, see if she's WhatsApped me. Did I drop off the feed then? Mrs. Jeff's done her car over again for the third time. And so all that lovely work that the man with the golden spray gun did, she's now reversed into a lamppost that she didn't see. And she phoned me earlier on and said, do you know what? And I said to her, look, we just need to put you in a £500 banger that doesn't matter about. Because if you'd done that in my Volvo, it wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, she has reversed her 1 Series into a lamppost. And thankfully, the damage is limited to the bumper. But, I mean, she's done the bumper pretty good. Not long after we paid £1,000 to have the car repaired and £1,000 to purchase it from the insurance company who wrote it off, and now she's written it off again. So we're doing well. We're doing well. If you'd like to buy a crash damaged BMW 116 diesel in a beautiful orange colour with a slightly damaged rear bumper, then jeffbuyscars@gmail.com. Yes, it was the fault of the lamppost. It just jumped out from nowhere. All right, but whatever. It's only a car. You know, she was phoning me and she said, oh, you know, like it was a real panicky phone call. And I thought, oh, you know, one of the kids has overheated because they've gone to the park and it's crazy hot today. And I was like, oh, maybe, you know, something major's gone on or something important, but damaging a car, so whatever, doesn't matter. Cars can be repaired or not, just leave them be. I do think that we should have a much different approach to cars where, you know, how a boat has the bumper things that they throw over the side so the boat doesn't bash into the side of the harbour. Why don't we have that on our cars? It would make so much more sense if we were less precious, but then you wouldn't have the whole industry of, you know, valeting and detailing and all of that stuff would disappear if we just didn't give a crap. Like, love your car, absolutely, but don't care about the cosmetics, is what I'm sort of advocating for. So let's go and take a look at when's the next Anglia Classic Car Auction sale. Let's do that, shall we? Anglia Classic Car Auction. I think we've just had one, so it is late August and we're only in July now, so they've got too many cars consigned. So we'll take a quick look. Can I do this in a way that you can see my screen? I don't know if I really can. Hello, Elsie. Don't worry about being late. I'm just taking a quick look at the Anglia Car Auction's upcoming sale. So if you want to open up a... Oh, I know what I can do. I've got one. I've got a printed one. Hang on a minute. Right, I'm back. There you go. I can do it this way. Now I can show you live. It is flipping hot. I am sweating out. Instead of doing Anglia Classic Car Auctions, I'll do that one for a proper... The Summer Serenade. Oh, it's on the 19th of July. That's what, a week's time? Just over a week's time, so weekend after next. So let's take a quick look and see if there's anything interesting. Now, Historics, I don't know why they send this to me. They send it to me every time. I've never bought a car from Historics. There's WB & Sons auction coming up in Newcastle. Let's have a look at that. I like making car auction videos. WB & Sons. I think I had a look at this the other night and there wasn't anything that was particularly bothered about. 19th of July. Oh, it's on the same date. They're both on the 19th of July. Cool. So we've got a few coming up. Let's do this one because I've got the thing here, and also I can use this to swap flies because there seem to be a lot of flies around at the minute, and that's good because you can't really do that with a laptop. So where are we at? We're at Windsor View Lakes on the 19th of July. Diving right in at the top on page 1, we've got an AC Cobra Recreation at 55 to 60,000 pounds there. You might as well have a Cobra Recreation because even if you had a real one, everybody would say, oh, is it a replica? So it doesn't matter really which Cobra you have, just buy a cheap one because everybody will think it's fake or real. Then you've got an Alfa Romeo Giulietta 1.6. Look at that, look. That's what, a 1981? Yes, when did you last see one of those? That's quite cool. No reserve on that one. And I love these. And I bet James from Banganomics loves these as well. This is an Aston Martin Lagonda, 1987. cool looking car back when we used to design cars that looked good. And then an Austin Healey, there's just too many of those around. Oh, there's another Austin Healey, there's too many of those around. An Austin J40 pedal car, that'll make 1,500 quid. And a Bentley Arnage T. All right, so 19 to 21,000 pounds on the Bentley, but we all know that it'll make 13. Bentley Continental GT at 13 to 18,000 pounds. I can't get into those, I really can't. The Lagonda was up at auction before, wasn't it? Let's have a look. Good question. What's the number plate? It is D110 TAK. I like that, T-A-K. It means thank you in Norwegian. D110 T-A-K. Let's just have a look what comes up. That comes up at Historics for that one. And usually, Classic Trader. Trying to see if there's any older posts for it. The only one that's coming up is the Historics auction. But I find it quite interesting when a car goes to auction and then just ends up, it keeps going in different auctions. What does this say? Last V5 was issued on the 31st of May. It's currently taxed. Classified advert listed on the 26th of June at £29,000, and that was on, no, that is for this. So no, I can't find a record of it actually being in before. Another Austin Healey, like I said, not bothered. BMW M3, 22 to 33,000 pounds. Don't know. I've got several tons of pure copper cable to shift, Geoff. Any ideas? Have you been visiting windmill farms for any reason? Then you got a BMW X5 3 litre with only 14,000 miles on the clock. We don't really get the mileage thing. Like, it's old, so it's still going to need bits and bobs. So I think buying low mileage cars is a bit of a myth. 1948 Chevrolet Fleetmaster. That's cool. It's a little bit grease, isn't it? No reserve. And then a Daimler Sovereign Coupe, 1976. So that's the Jag XJ12 Coupe, I think. 15 to 20,000 pounds. Those are the ones with the double fuel tanks. I filled 2 tanks at the same time, which is quite cool. And a Fiat 500 at no reserve. Then, well, there we go. Here's a big hitter. 1959 Aston Martin DB4 Series 1 to GT specification. 520 to 570,000 pounds. What is your betting that does sell? I'm going to stake my claim here. I think the economy is knackered. I don't think anybody's buying cars like this. I think that's going to go through unsold. And then got another Austin Healey, which I'm not bothered about. Ford Consul 375 Mark II. I don't think there's enough people still out there that want to buy a Ford Consul because it's not a good looking car. It's from the period where Ford were basically trying to make everything look slightly American. Doesn't really do it for me. I much prefer the look of the Ford Cortina. So you can have a 64 Cortina and that's 15 to 20, whereas this is 9 to 12. Ben says, I wonder how many of the high-end cars are going overseas. I wonder this as well, because when I was speaking to Miles down at the tea place, a lot of the stuff that he's selling is going to the USA. Ford Escort Mark II, RS 1800. Oh, wow, here we go. This is not going to sell. Look at this, look. RS 1800. Can you see the reserve on that? 160 to 185,000 pounds. That's going to go unsold. Ford Model T Tourer, 13 to 20,000. That's interesting, isn't it? So you've got the 76 Ford RS 1800, and then a much more historically and culturally significant Ford Model T, but that is more than 10 times the price of that. Doesn't make sense, does it? Yeah, that's the most expensive Escort I've seen. That is ridiculous. Ford Mustang. I love a Mustang. 24 to 30,000 pounds. There should be RS 1800 ratty ones are 120 grand. What is it about the RS 1800 that makes it cool then? BDA engine in an RS 1800. How does that differ to like the Mexico and stuff then? I don't really know Fords of that era because that made 10 years before I was born. But maybe that's the thing. Like my generation, we're just going, no, I'm not bothered. I'll look for a 1996 Escort GTI instead. And then who's going to buy them? I don't know. You tell me. But we shall see what the auction does. I'll have to reference this live feed when I make my auction video, and we'll see. As I said, I love a Ford Mustang. There's a Ford Mustang coming to the channel in the coming weeks. Master Mechanic Luke has got one on the way, and he said, would I like to borrow it for a video? So yes is obviously the answer. We have a 2003 Holden Kappa F320C Monaro, 15 to half of the money. Obviously, Vauxhall sold these as well, badged as Vauxhalls when they were essentially Holdens. That's probably, depending on which one it is, it's a 5.7 litre V8. I think the later ones were 6.2. I like these a lot. They're very cool. And then an E-Type, an E-Type, and an E-Type, and XK140. Not interested in any of those. Jaguar XK convertible portfolio. There's a lot of these around. Like if you want a Jaguar XK, there's so many for sale. Land Rover 1956 Lincoln Premier, 10 to 15,000 pounds. This is quite cool. I also like the Elan, 16 to 20,000 pounds for a plus two. Is there any value in 70s car brochures? No, I don't think there is. You might get a couple of quid on eBay. And then there's a Maybach, a 2004 Maybach 62. That is 33 to 43,000 pounds, and that would have been what, £500,000 when it was new. So that's a bargain. I might have to make a video about that. Someone said, am I going to Truth Fest? I don't know what it is. And someone else said, should we be watching the Festival of Speed? I got bored. So I got bored watching it earlier on. It's just loads of foreign people writing comments. I prefer watching auctions. I'm sure it's great if you're there, but I'm not bothered. Oh, look, we got two double pages. That's a Bentley Continental R Final Edition. That's the wide arch one from 2003. That's a very cool car at 65 to 85,000 pounds. They used to be more expensive than that. And then a BMW 850 Ci, 20,000 miles, and that is 40 to 50,000 pounds. That's a lot of money for an 8 Series. Mercedes-Benz 230 SL Pagoda, 46 to 50 grand. And G-Wagon. G-Wagons are cool, but only when they're the older ones. The new ones are not. Oh, hang on, I've got a text message. Do that when I come off the live feed. Bowler Hat Farmer and Richard Vobes are going to be there. Is that the one that's in the Lake District? Actually, no, I hadn't thought about it because we hadn't actually planned on being in the UK for August. But now that we are, and the motorhome will be by then yeah, I like the idea of that. 95 Benz 300 SE Coupe, 50 grand. So that's this one, the big old-fashioned coupes. And then an R129 Mille Miglia. That's a nice special edition. The Mille actually a really cool one. I'd actually have a Mille Miglia 129 over the Silver Arrows one because I think the spec is nicer. The Silver Arrows is cool, but they're more expensive, and I think the Mille Miglia is more desirable, in my personal opinion, but I wouldn't have a silver one. Another Benz here. This is cool. Look, it's in that like Havana brown metallic, and you all know how I feel about brown cars. 12 to 16,000 pounds. I like the look of that. SL. There's just so many Mercedes SLs for sale at the minute. Like, take your pick. MGB Fiesta, 14 to 18,000 pounds. Could be interesting. I was surprised how well that MG video down on my channel the other day. And tell you what, we could have sold that car a few times over. Ford Model T pickup truck. I do like that. How are we doing? Good afternoon, Jason. Just doing a bit of a general while I wait for it to cool down a little bit before I go do some work on the Motorhome. Not bothered. MGTF, Morris 12, Morris Minor, Norton Model 30. Peugeot 504 GL Cabriolet. Yeah, I like that. 20 to 26,000 pounds. Peugeot 504 convertible. That is a rare car. I love that I skipped over all of those other cars to look at the Peugeot. 911 964 Carrera 2 RS replica. That looks cheap, actually. 45,000 pounds on the lower estimate. Elsie says it's not going to get cooler until mid next week. Yep, the farmers and the food are absolutely knackered. Porsche, that one. Was that in an auction recently? E11 JDG. Let me just take a quick look. E11 JDG. Historics. Just seeing if it comes up anywhere else. No, just coming up on historics. I quite like that you can search this stuff and it'll tell you, but no, the only thing I'm getting on that number plate is this also. Maybe I'm thinking of a different car. Jason, just watch a Volvo Estate drifting at Goodwood on their live stream on YouTube. Thought of you. Well, I'll tell you, I'll pull up the live stream as well and let's see what they've got going on, because I'm not, it's too hot to make any videos today, so I don't think I've got any content going out tonight. I was going to have a motorhome MOT update, but not only did it not fail the MOT, it failed to get to the MOT. But maybe that story is quite interesting. Spanish Peaches is cooking some lamb and beef with onions, tomatoes, and long peppers. This is the perfect video chat for the background. Heat is oppressive. Yeah, it's a bit hot. It is a little bit hot. Right, there you go. I'm going to turn my sound off. Oh, Derek Bell. Derek Bell's doing well, isn't he? He's still going. So that's exciting. What we got there? Rover 16 Saloon. That's a handsome thing, isn't it? No reserve there. That is a rather handsome looking car. Look at that in the two-tone. That's lovely. What else have we got? Jensen Interceptor Series 3 convertible. I'm not really bothered about an Interceptor, but that is a very, very cool looking car. That works as a convertible. I like that. 68 to 78,000. So it's expensive. And then an SL55 AMG, 14 to 19. If you want an SL55 AMG, a friend of mine is selling one for 10,000 quid. This one is estimated 14 to 19. Elsie's listening whilst cooking the tea. What are you cooking for tea, Elsie? I think we're going to have some homemade burgers tonight, because it's basically too hot to do anything else. Rover P5B, Suffolk SS100, Sunbeam Tiger, Triumph Acclaim, and a Triumph Stag. That Triumph Acclaim is estimated at £8,000 to £10,000. That is a lot of money for a car that I used to see for sale for 400 or 500 quid in the back of Auto Trader. Right, last page, I think. Yep, last page. We've got a Stag, a TR6, a Carman Gear. Oh, and the very last car is a Volvo. So there's the Stag at the top, a couple of TR6s, 14 to 20 and 18 to 20 on the TR6s. Carman Gear. Oh, Carman Gear is a good looking car, isn't it? And they've got expensive. And finally, we finish up with a Volvo P1800, 66,000 miles, 14 to 18,000 pounds. Yeah, cool and everything, but like I'm getting to the stage with a lot of these auctions. Oh, that works. There you go. Historics, you can keep sending me these when it's hot. I'm going to read that comment in a second, Ben. With a lot of these auctions, I've done it all before. Here's a thought for you. If you take a cyclist, a 2000s Fiat, and a new EV SUV, there's a bigger weight difference between the EV and the Fiesta than a cyclist and the Fiesta. Ooh, screenshot. That's going to appear in a Geoff video. That's a really interesting thought and kind of scary, but mostly scary for the cyclist, because if you're going to get hit by an EV, you are knackered. While we're on the subject of EVs, I've got in my inbox, there was a Vauxhall Corsa EV, which an old lady put on its side in a car park. There's another EV that's gone through a shop window down in, I want to say Taunton, but that might not be correct. So these EVs are crashing all over the place because they're just too powerful for the old people that they keep putting in them on the Motability scheme. What else have we got? Oh, there's a fire at a Volvo dealership. I need to dive into that one, but that was more of a complicated email. Let me see what else is going on in my email a second. Hang on. I don't feel all that well today, actually. We went out yesterday and I bought some tyres for the caddy. And then we got fish and chips. And fish and chips in my head was way better than it was in actual real life. Like, I was really excited about going down to this. We went to Kington, which is quite pretty. Went to this little place and got some fish and chips. Yeah, it was just rubbish. Really dry. Charge and go remote controlled toy cars make a comeback. I have just ordered a few radio controlled things. My kids have gone to the park today with a radio-controlled crocodile, which is quite funny. I'm a bit down too, not the heat though. Are you not feeling well? And then Kurno says, just finished working, 1:40 AM here, love a V8 Stag and the old Rovers. Cheers from Australia. Having a beer now, love and peace. Giving up the beer for a bit. You got to help me. I've not been great with drinking lately. It's a bit of a demon that I do suffer with, so I'm trying to be better with that. So I had no beer yesterday and I'm going to try and be good tonight. But on a hot day, it's really hard. My order is ready to collect at Argos. That's nice. I've just ordered a new phone, which I'll probably put on the channel as well, because you know how much I moan about my phone on the channel. I've ordered a Nokia 110. Are you going to hang the motorbike on the wall? No, I'm going to park it in the back of the caddy. Steve Steele. Steve is watching. Afternoon, Steve. Sorry I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to you yesterday. It was a very busy day up at the barn. Everybody kept arriving. Cars kept arriving, going, and it was all very hectic. My Make sure you subscribe to Banganomics. Make sure you subscribe to Steve Steele. Steve, have you had? I think you should record. I think you should document this Range Rover Sport on Overfinch supercharged thing. I think you should doc your channel. I think you'd be really interested. Also, because I've seen that Range Rover, I'm dead keen to see it going back together. You know, I'm quite curious as to what's your journey as to what you do with it. Bearing in mind you bought it pretty much just for the engine. But it's nice to have it out of the barn and have a bit of space back. And I'm hoping after tonight's Geoffle, I'll have 2 more spaces in the barn as well. I don't know if I can post a comment with the link to it. Can I post a comment? How do I do that? Are there is anyone watching who follows me on Facebook who can post up a link to tonight's Geoffle? Because I'm giving away in a Geoffle the BMW 330 convertible and the Peugeot partner. But the trick is, the first person out the hat gets to choose whether they have the BMW and the Peugeot, or they just choose one of the cars and let second place have the other. And I've also decided that third place is going to get a boat. I'm not sure what. This is what I've decided. So I'm going to buy a boat and I'm going to make Phil test it on a river. That'll make a really funny video. If you had to choose just one, would you take the Part 46? Can I be really honest? I just like cars, so I would take the partner. I like cars that don't use any fuel. How far are you from open water? Not very far at all. So there is a lake where we could test some sort of waterproof thing. Good with festival speed. Yeah, and I'm watching it. I've got it on here. Well done on the not drinking thing. What do you do for beer though? Like, oh, Steve, I think it doesn't come up because you're trying to post a link. I see, yeah. The comment didn't come up. I'll have to put it in a pinned comment at the end. Have I got any Volvos for sale? I might do, Mark. I could be tempted to sell my blue automatic, but I quite like it, so I might not. So, yeah, my fleet is thinning down, to be fair. What was I talking about? The Geoffle. Yeah, have a look in the pinned comment or check your email if you're on the mailing list. That's all I can say on that one, really, because I can't work out how to do it. Someone says, that was it. I think you have to be a moderator to be able to put links up. Well, I'll tell you what then. Let's somehow make Steve a moderator. How do we do that? Oh, hang on. Where's Steve? If I click on Steve, then I can make him. There you go. I'm clicking on Steve. Add as a moderator. There you go. Can manage block words and change chat modes in live. Also standard. Can review and remove or hide and put users in time. Steve, you are now a standard moderator. That's exciting, isn't it? If I buy a ticket and win, you have to lie to my wife, Geoff. What do you mean again? Steve is now a moderator. Look at that. He gets a spanner next to his name. You don't have to do anything, Steve. Just see if you can post the link up for the 190 people who are watching. I don't think there's how many entries are there? There's only a small one. There's only 300 entries. And it's selling really slowly. So good odds on it. There's still 146 to sell. So there you go. Steve's got it. There are... oh, hello, Midnight Crisis. If only your moderator had a clue what they were doing. I like it, but Midnight Crisis, I can't even remember how or why I made you a moderator. So what team? Steve doesn't want to do it. You don't know how to do it. And I've got no idea why we're here. Combination. 146 left in stock for the Geoffle. For everything, Geoff, off out with Mrs. Banganomics, or else I'll send you updates. Yes, James, please do keep in touch via WhatsApp. I am happy to help with your... let's refresh your YouTube a little bit. I'll talk to you about it on WhatsApp, and I can help with Photoshop and setting stuff up where stuff is laid out. And I'm not claiming to be an expert, but you know, I do it. Ruth says, I don't do Facebook or PayPal or Amazon. It's against my principles. That's not a problem. You don't have to do Facebook because you don't have to watch the live feed. You can still win a car for me. Just purchase directly on the website, and then I will get in touch with you if and when you win. If you don't want to do Facebook or anything, if you do check out on the website directly, make sure you leave your phone number in, like send it as a message when you place the order. When you win a car, I can get in touch with you. And what I like about this as well is because I am not like some huge raffle company, we really just do it for a laugh. And a lot of people... Mid-crisis says, fire me, please. remover, standard moderator. You're out. Can you dual stream the draw on YouTube and Facebook? I probably could. Yeah, I don't really know how to do that. I should ask that. I should ask Midnight Crisis, my moderator, who I just fired, to see if he knows how to do it. Do you fancy doing a challenge with EV Carnage? I'd love to see that. Yeah, but he lives really far away. I'd love to do more with Tony, but he's having a great time down in Cornwall. And I know he did text me the other day because he really wants the Peugeot partner. So maybe I can fix so that Tony gets the Peugeot partner. Everybody should be a mod, says Nosy Poke. What, and have a moped? Yeah, so that's the thing. With the Geoff Buys Cars draws, they're always really funny because I've got people who moderating and painting the wall in the front room. Don't get confused, Steve. You might accidentally moderate your wall and paint the live feed. I've had situations where won cars and then decided that they want a t-shirt instead. I've had people win cars and then say, well, actually, I don't really want that. And then I'm like, well, what do I do with it then? I've had a guy that has won 3 times and hasn't yet had a car off me because he keeps changing what car he actually wants. He's the world's most confusing man. Chris, if you're watching, you know who you are. What else have we had? I've had people win cars and then never come to collect them because they can't be arsed. But sometimes it goes really well in that someone will car and they'll come and collect it like the same day or the next day. And I've always said that if I won a car from anyone, even if it only had 3 wheels, I would be there like that night because I'd be that excited. But maybe that's the way I'm wired. That is just, yeah, that is the way I am about cars. Right, it's getting extremely hot on my landing. I think what I need to do is have a large drink of water and then head up the barn and do a little bit of work on the motorhome because I just went and bought a load of bits from Wix. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is a rather warm Thursday live feed. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. If you're watching this after the fact, 8 p.m. tonight, live on Facebook, you can get yourself the BMW 330 and the Peugeot partner if you want. If you don't want both cars, you can roll the Peugeot partner or the BMW into second place and then somebody else gets it. That's the fun of it. It's a bit like a game show. So see you on, that's on Facebook at 8 p.m. But you don't need to be there, but you do need to be on the mailing list. Really sorry for that, says Tim. Tim, nobody is blaming you for the hot weather. Total Nutter says, I'm going to Little for Thatcher's Haze. I'm trying to stop drinking, but can I come with you? Can you pick me up? Because that sounds amazing. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. See you in a bit.